have written the book. Tell me about yourself first of all, then about your what subject you have taken in the book.
Okay, first of all, namaskar to everyone. My name is Arun Bhardwaj. I'm an engineer, I'm an electronics engineer. And then I lived around the world. I lived in US for 12 years or so. I lived in Korea for 4 or 5 years. I did my MBA in the US and then came back to India. But then I realized that whatever is taught to us in the schools, it is all about how to make a living, not how to live. So that desire made me dive into ancient wisdom of the world, including India. And I did my research. My PhD is actually on happiness, ancient wisdom, and peak performance mindset. Basically, how whatever we do is actually we are doing it for happiness. In the end, reason for all our action is that we desire to be happy. We want to be happy. So I thought if that is the end goal of everything, why not research on happiness itself? So in 2016, I completed my research and then quit my corporate job. I was heading a MNC for Asia Pacific. But I realized that my joy is coming from something when I'm interacting with human beings. So I became a corporate mentor. I do a lot of programs worldwide now. Now you asked me about the book. I wrote this book. It's called The Book of Reflections because stories are amazing. When you are talking to people, in my role, I talk to senior leaders. I talk to elders. They are more successful sometimes. They are elder than me, wiser. Then how do you communicate a concept to them, right? Stories are amazing. They quietly go inside your ears, they creep in and touch your heart, and you transform from within to without. And the stories, inspiration I got to write that book was from our Gurukul system. Let me take you to the Gurukul system. We are sitting next to Ganges here, Ganga Mata. In the old time, students asked teacher, Guruji, we have a problem. One, we come with our complex problems of life. And for everything, you have a story. You give us some simple story. And story you give, that is okay. But you don't even tell us what is the moral of the story. So Guruji smiles and he answers. He says, have you seen a candle? Candle by itself is only 10 rupees. But in the light of the candle, you can find key to the treasure of your own success and happiness. Stories are like that. If I give you a story and you listen to it and you feel good about it or laugh it off or amused, it has almost 10 rupee value. But if you see value of that story in your life, then it can transform your life. Stories are not necessarily true, but they have truth of life in them. And I chose that medium of story. Now the second question that students have asked, you tell us the story, but you don't give us the moral of the story. Yeah. So Guruji smiles and say, how would it be if you asked me how apple tastes like and I chew the apple and after chewing I give it back to you? So for you to understand the rasa of it, taste of it, the meaning of it, you have to chew on that story. That's why the story do not have any moral. You have to tell me what is the moral of the story. So the book I wrote is called The Book of Reflections. And it has the concept of happiness explained. What are the 8 dimensions of happiness that my research found? And then for each of the 8 dimensions, for example, healthy mind and body, better relationships, purpose in life, I have 7 stories each. And then on one side there are stories, 1-page story. On the other side, 5 questions. Okay. And if you go through those 5 questions, they will reveal meaning of that story as it is appropriate for your own life. So that's the book that I have written.
So, sir, from here you got the idea from this write down this book especially for youths.
Yes.
Right. And if you talk about at present, a lot of youths are under pressure. They are tense. So how it will help especially for the youths? As
Sure.
you are talking about.
Sure. Let me tell you a story. What's better than actually telling you a story? Then you will see how things have to happen. Once upon a time, in a shop of a locksmith, he is making locks. A hammer is talking to the key, and the hammer says, I have so much of metal in me. I'm so strong, but I'm not able to open this lock. In fact, when I'm trying to open this lock becomes even tougher to open. And you, such a small key, how can you open this lock so easily? So the key smiles at the lock and says, see, you are trying to open this lock with brute force, forcibly. But I know where you have to touch heart of this lock to make it feel good within. I gently go inside his heart, touch the lock at the right spots, and the lock by itself opens up. Now you ask me a question about youth. My question to you is, what do you understand from this story? What is the moral of this story for you? What do you say?
Better you say.
No, see, this is where, so we have to talk to youth about it. Many times it happens where we have to be key, we act like hammers. Parents, those who are listening to this story, I would like to ask you, are there times when you should have been key with your children, but you have become the hammer? Many times parents tell me, how my son is talking to you for 2 hours. मेरे साथ तो 5 मिनट बात नहीं करता है ये. The reason that कहीं ऐसा तो नहीं कि आप उसकी तरह हैमर की तरह बात कर रहे हो. मैं फादर हूँ, मैं मदर हूँ, मैं तुझे बताऊंगी क्या करना है. We have to connect with youth first emotionally, so they are open to share their problems, the transformation that is happening in their life. They are openly sharing their challenges, so we as elders can guide them on the right path. क्योंकि वो communication channel बंद हो गया है, we have stopped touching their heart and we have started directing them, and they are very aware now. This youth is very different from youth of 20 years 25 years ago या हम जब youth थे. So we have to be keys with these youth. We have to understand their point of view. अभी नशा बहुत बढ़ रहा है हिमाचल में भी, उत्तराखंड में भी, पंजाब में तो हो ही गया है. तो अब आप देखिए रोज़ ये तो खबर आती है कि पकड़े गए, फलाना पकड़ा गया इतने चिट्टे के साथ में फलाना, लेकिन अभी तक हमने ये नहीं जानने की कोशिश की कि वाई यूथ आर टेकिंग इट, व्हाट इज़ द कॉज, व्हाट इज़ दैट एम्प्टीनेस विच इज़ ड्राइविंग देम टूवर्ड्स ड्रग्स. सो आई थिंक ये जो यूथ के मन को के साथ में कनेक्ट करना और उनकी मन की बातों को जानना और उनके जीवन में जो परेशानियाँ आ रही है, वी शुड गिव देम अ प्लेटफॉर्म टू एक्सप्रेस देमसेल्फ. That will help us understand the problem. Once we understand the problem, we will be able to handle it better.
It seems there is a generation gap, sure. I mean, youth and elders.
हाँ, generation gap. There is a generation gap, and this generation gap, which used to affect before, after 20-25 years. Now, to after 10 years, the new generation is saying these kids are too, they don't understand us. So generation gap का जो size है वो भी कम होता जा रहा है समय के साथ में, because of computers, because of internet and all that. So you are absolutely right. पर उसको fix कैसे किया जाए? Question is, how do we bridge that generation gap? We as elders and parents, we have to start talking to our children for no reason. Not always for giving guidance and giving bhashan. We have to play with them. We have to share stories with them. Just be like friend and give them confidence. And when children fail, we should accept that failure is not opposite of success. Failure is just stepping stone of success. We should not say success is good and failure is bad at the time when they are still learning. We should celebrate failure so they can learn from failure. जब इस तरह का open environment create होगा, youth will be able to communicate their thoughts, will be able to understand their challenges, problems. I think ज़्यादा better environment हो जाएगा.
So from engineer from Himachal to engineering, then after that you are writer now. So how do you feel now?
See, this question is asked many times. That also doing research on happiness. So what engineering and MBA has to do with happiness? I always say that our spirituality is going through a transition. In engineering, we learn how to make complex simple. You give us something complex, we know how to make it simple. So it can be executed, it can be solved. In management, in MBA, we learn how to take a complex message and make it simple for the audience, how to connect the message with the audience. And I believe that our spirituality is also going through this transition. People think it is very complex. It is not being communicated many times in the language that youth understand. So I thought I can bridge the gap. I can fill that gap. So my research on ancient wisdom was with the intent of कि हमारी जो संस्कृति है उसके बारे में जाना जाए, और जो आज के बच्चे हैं उनको अगर आप कहो फॉलो करो क्योंकि मेरे पूर्वजों ने भी फॉलो किया, दे विल नॉट फॉलो आवर मेथड्स, आवर मेथडोलॉजी, आवर ट्रेडिशंस. उनको पहले वाई एक्सप्लेन करना बहुत ज़रूरी है. सच बोलना चाहिए. वो पूछेंगे क्यों, है ना. फॉरगिवनेस इज़ अ ग्रेट वर्च्यू. क्यों, पॉजिटिव थाट्स होनी चाहिए. क्यों. इफ़ यू एक्सप्लेन दैट क्यों, वाई, they are better followers than us, because we were blind followers sometimes, but they are purposeful followers of concepts. तो इसलिए मुझे फिर ये ऊर्जा मिली कि अपना ट्रांजिशन करो. सो आई क्विट माई कॉर्पोरेट लाइफ आफ्टर 25 years working with the multinational companies. Last 6 years I have been a mentor, as a leadership mentor, as people mentor. I run a company called Happiness Technology, and my concept out of my research, it's called engineering happiness. So as an engineer, how do you engineer an environment in life so your probability of experiencing happiness, the probability is higher?
What is your plan now, future plan now?
Future plan is very simple: as many lives I can touch, and the mission is very simple: helping you connect with your inner awesomeness and leaving people happier than I found them.
Great. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Arun, sir.
Thank you.
Nice to talk to you, sir.